Let's dual wield some swords and play as Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And if you stick around till the end, I'll tell you a quick way to optimize this overall build. Every one of the turtles deserves their own build because they are all very different in unique ways. But one thing they all have in common is we're going to go with the race Tortle. There's actually two different versions of Tortle, but we're going to go with the one from Morden Caden Presents Monsters of the Multiverse, simply because it's a better one. This gives you plenty of turtley stuff, but one of the most notable ones is, of course, you're a hero in a half shell. So you get natural armor. Your armor class is just set at 17, and you can't wear any armor on top of it. You can use a shield if you want to, but that's the only way to boost it any further. And you can utilize that shell a little bit with the feature Shell Defense. So you can withdraw into your shell as an action and gain a +4 to your armor class, while also giving you advantage on strength and constitution saving throws. But this makes it so you're prone, your speed is 0, you have disadvantage on dex saves, and you can't take any reactions, and basically the only thing you can do is make a bonus action to emerge from your shell. You also get the feature Nature's Intuition, allowing you to pick a skill from a list, and we're just going to grab stealth because you're a ninja, and ninjas need stealth. There's one more very important feature you get from being a turtle, but we'll save that for just a second. Then when it comes to a background, you do protect New York, so we'll just grab City Watch. This gives us skill proficiencies in Insight, and one more from a list that we can choose, so we'll just grab Athletics. Now it's time to sort out some starting stats, and we need to be pretty well rounded. But to make sure we don't overextend ourselves, we have to dump one attribute. So we're going to dump Strength because it's going to be the least useful for this build. Then to be pretty nimble like a ninja and be able to take some hits, we're going to bring our Dexterity and Constitution up to 14. Leo is fairly intelligent, but not the genius of the group, so we'll take our intelligence and boost it up to 12. He is more of the wise leader, so we'll boost our wisdom up to 13. And as a leader of the group, I think he needs at least a little bit of charisma, so we'll boost our charisma to 12. Choosing this version of Tortle allows us to choose wherever we want to put our racial bonus. So we're going to get a racial bonus of 2 points into dexterity, bringing it to 16, and 1 point into wisdom, bringing it to 14. Then when it comes to a starting class, I was a bit torn, but we need to focus on the ninja aspect and especially the martial arts aspect. So we're going to start off with Monk. When you start in Monk, you get access to simple weapons and short swords, and that's going to be pretty important because Leo does use short swords. You get saving throws in strength and dexterity, and you get to choose 2 skills. So we're going to grab Acrobatics and History. When you get your first level in Monk, you get Unarmored Defense, which is the special way to calculate your armor class, but we don't care about that because we're a Tortle. Additionally, at first level of Monk, you get Martial Arts. So now you can use your Dexterity instead of Strength for attack and damage rolls of your unarmed strikes, as well as your Monk weapon. Those unarmed strikes on the Martial Arts table are going to be a 1d4, which do go up as you level up in Monk. And when you attack with an unarmed strike or Monk weapon on your turn, you can make 1 unarmed strike as a bonus action, meaning that right off the bat you can have 2 attacks, which is going to help a little bit because dual wielding at this stage isn't going to be quite as powerful because you won't be able to add your ability modifier to the offhand attack, at least not yet. And even though the martial arts table says you would use a d4 for your unarmed strikes, there's that other feature that you get from choosing the version of Tortle that we did, because it grants you claws. Granted, in the Ninja Turtle comics and movies and everything, you have that weird 3-fingered hand and a very flat nail, but in D&D, you got claws. And that's pretty darn helpful because now your unarmed strikes are actually automatically a d6, and they would add your strength modifier, but because you chose Monk, you can use your Dexterity modifier. Usually it would take all the way to 5th level of Monk to get a d6 for our unarmed strikes, but we get to skip right to it. Then when you get 2nd level of Monk, you get Key, giving you a number of key points equal to your Monk level, and you can spend them on things like Flurry of Blows, allowing you to make 2 unarmed strikes as your bonus action instead of just 1, Patient Defense, allowing you to take the Dodge action as a bonus action on your turn, and Step of the Wind, allowing you to take the Disengage or Dash action as a bonus action on your turn, and your jump distance is doubled for the turn. Additionally, at this level you get Unarmored Movement, so your movement speed is boosted by 10 feet. And then I was going to take Monk all the way to 3rd level, and then take Path of the Kensai and really focus on those short swords, but frankly, it wouldn't really help this build very much. Path of the Kensai is all about giving you access to additional weapons, and you already have the weapon that you want. So we're already going to be doing a multi-class. We want to get a bit more ninja-esque, so we're going to dive over to Rogue. When you multi-class into Rogue, you get to choose 1 more skill proficiency, so we're going to grab Perception, making you much more aware of your surroundings, and you get Expertise in 2 skills. You are a ninja, so we're going to give you Expertise in Stealth, and we're also going to grab expertise in insight, and this is going to be very helpful to us in just a second. Another feature you get from first level of Rogue is Thieves' Cant, which is just a special way to talk in code, so people can't really figure out what you're actually talking about. And you get one of the most notable features of being a rogue, Sneak Attack. So once per turn, you can deal an extra 1d6 of damage. The amount of extra damage goes up as you level up in Rogue, but it does have some requirements. You have to be using a finesse or ranged weapon, which is fine for us because we're going to be using short swords, which are finesse weapons, and you have to either have advantage on the attack roll, or that enemy that you're attacking has to have another enemy of theirs within 5 feet of them, so they can be slightly distracted and you can get in a really good hit. Then once you get to second level of Rogue, you get Cunning action, so you can take the dash, disengage, or hide action as a bonus action. Then at third level of Rogue, your sneak attack damage upgrades from 1d6 to 2d6, and you get to choose a Roguish archetype, otherwise known as a subclass. And I was really trying to focus on the fact that Leo is the leader of the group, and I tried to think, what's the best roguish archetype that could also be seen as a leader? And I think the best type of rogue we can choose in this situation is an Inquisitive rogue. They get 3 features when you choose this subclass. You get Ear for Deceit, so whenever you make any sort of insight check to determine whether a creature is lying, you can treat a roll of 7 or lower on the d20 as at least an 8. And since we have expertise in this skill, we're going to be pretty darn good at it. The other feature you get is Eye for Detail, so you can use a bonus action to make a perception check to spot any hidden creatures or objects, or you can make an investigation check to uncover or decipher any clues you might be able to find. But one of the most important features is Insightful Fighting, so you gain the ability to decipher an opponent's tactics and develop counters to them. And this is a feature that would really be helpful to a leader of a group, so this is part of why I went this route. And it's not just flavor text. As a bonus action, you can make a Wisdom Insight check, which we have expertise on, and we can't roll lower than an 8. That creature has to contest it with a deception check, and if you succeed, you can use your sneak attack against that target even if you don't have any sort of advantage on the roll or the other requirement of having an enemy of your enemy within 5 feet of them. The only thing is you can't have disadvantage on it. This benefit lasts for 1 minute or until you successfully use this feature against a different target. So you're going to be able to pretty reliably use your sneak attack whenever you need to, because something tells me that Shredder would not have high charisma, so he wouldn't be great at those deception checks. Then at 4th level of Rogue, you get an ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our dexterity by 2 points. And then at 5th level of Rogue, your sneak attack damage upgrades to 3d6, and you get the feature Uncanny Dodge. So now if you're hit by an attack, you can use your reaction to cut the damage in half. Then at 6th level of Rogue, you can get expertise and 2 more skills, so we're going to boost up our perception and our acrobatics. Then instead of jumping into 7th level, which would give us some really good stuff with evasion and boosting our sneak attack, we're going to do another multi-class, because we've been dual wielding short swords for a while now, and we're kind of lacking. So our next multi-class is going to be into Fighter. When you take your first level of Fighter, you get a fighting style, and we're going to grab 2-weapon fighting. This makes it so when you're attacking with your offhanded weapon, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of that offhand attack, which is definitely going to be helpful for all the dual wielding we really want to focus on, although technically we wouldn't be lacking too much if you just used an unarmed strike, but I like being able to dual wield. Additionally, at first level of Fighter, you get Second Wind, so you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d10 plus your fighter level, which you can use once per short or long rest. Then at second level of Fighter, you get Action Surge, so once per short or long rest, you can take 2 actions on a turn instead of just 1. Then at third level of Fighter, you get to choose a martial archetype, otherwise known as a subclass. And I again wanted to focus on Leo being a leader, and I thought back to my Captain America build, and I wanted to go with a Banneret. This is actually a generic name for the purple dragon knight, which appears in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. This is all about boosting your team and inspiring them to push forward. When you choose this subclass, you get Rallying Cry. So when you use your Second Wind feature, you can choose up to 3 creatures within 60 feet of you that you're allied with. Each one regains hit points equal to your fighter level as long as they can see or hear you. Then at 4th level of Fighter, you get an ability score improvement, so we're going to go ahead and max out our dexterity really quick. And then at 5th level of Fighter, we finally get Extra Attack. So you can attack twice on your action, twice with an action surge, and twice with your bonus action if you happen to use Flurry of Blows. Then at 6th level of Fighter, you get another ability score improvement. And since we already maxed out our dexterity, we're going to grab a feat. I wanted to focus on him dual wielding those short swords, so we're going to grab the feat Dual Wielder. This does make it so you can wield heavier weapons, but it's fairly obvious, at least to me, that Leo does use short swords. However, it does also give us the opportunity to boost our armor class, which we don't have a lot of ways to do being a Tortle, because while you're dual wielding weapons, you gain +1 bonus to your armor class, meaning your armor class is just a default of 18 now as long as you're wielding those short swords. Then at 7th level of fighter we get another feature from being a Banneret, Royal Envoy, giving you proficiency in the Persuasion skill, and your proficiency bonus is doubled for any ability check that uses Persuasion, so you can really encourage the rest of the Ninja Turtles. Then at 8th level of fighter you get another ability score improvement, so we want to boost up our health a decent amount, and rather than boosting our constitution, we're going to grab another feat and grab Tough. This boosts our hit points by 2 points per level of this overall build, which is the equivalent of having 4 more points in our constitution. Then at 9th level fighter you get Indomitable, allowing you to re-roll a failed saving throw once per long rest. Then at 10th level of fighter you get another feature from being a Banneret, Inspiring Surge. So whenever you use Action Surge, you can choose one creature within 60 feet of you that's allied with you. That creature can also make one melee or ranged attack at the same time with its reaction, provided it can see or hear you, which is a very powerful feature, especially if you have multiple rogues in the party, which you probably would considering you're a group of Ninja Turtles, and they would be able to use sneak attack for a second time in a round, because sneak attack is usable once per turn, not once per round. Then at 11th level of fighter you get another extra attack, so you can attack 3 times with each action, and then at 12th level of fighter you get another ability score improvement. And since there's not a ton that would really benefit us, we're just going to throw 2 more points into our constitution so we get a bit more health. That brings us to 20th level overall. But if you wanted to optimize this, I would definitely change up a few things. Really, I would just start with fighter above anything else, because then you could get extra attack earlier and you would have a decent amount more health to start at first level. Then, since you would be focusing mostly on using your short swords, you don't really need any levels in monk as long as you're not going to be doing any unarmed strikes. It felt like an important part of the character, so I wanted to include it, but you could just as easily take 2 more levels of rogue, which would boost up your sneak attack damage and give you evasion, which is a massive defensive ability, making it so your dex saves are way better. Let me know what you would do differently with this build in the comments down below, and if you want access to the character sheet for this build or any of my other builds, feel free to check out my Patreon linked in the description down below. And a special shout out to my player character level patrons, Tarkan Dermis, Alistar Nix, Ted Z, Digimit, Dana Albader, Mousy Sala, Andrew Nobles, Alex, Melendez Robinson, Karkat Kitsune, Z13, Viral Nerevar, Yaksha Senpai, the Dino 21, and Benjamin. Then going above and beyond that is my Dungeon Master level patrons, which I actually host D&D games for, which I stream over on Twitch and then upload the VODs here on YouTube. Daniel Sweeten, Conman ZX, Nathaniel Sims, Cyberciety, Firebeam, Talon Starkey, Demiurge, Daniel Galvin, Michael, Eric Wade, and Salvador. Then last but not least is my God tier level patron. He helps me more than I could have ever expected, and that's GameStake. So a special thank you to him. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button, and I'll be here hoping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you want to play as the leader of the Ninja Turtles, Leonardo, in Dungeons & Dragons.